Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Cut the Chase Sports Podcast. We're bringing unique insight and analysis behind your favorite sports, college, and professional levels. I'm your host, Chase Shantz. Got our panel right here. Got Brady over to the left. How you doing, Brady?
Doing great. Ready to talk some more football. Definitely going to be a fun episode today.
For sure. Can't wait for it. And then we got Matt down in the bottom right. Matt, you all right?
Hold on. Yeah, I'm pushing through. We're going to be all right, though. We're going to have a good day.
For sure. We're going to have a good one here, man. And, we got our special guest down at the bottom left, Kris Drew. Kris, what's up?
Not much, man. Really happy to be here.
For sure.
We're happy to have you on.
Yes, we are. Can't wait to talk some college football with you. We're not gonna, waste any time here, but we'll kind of hop into question one. How did you get started into Menace sports, or what kind of propelled you into this industry, like in the in the broadcasting media business or whatever? Like how'd you get started in there?
It's crazy, man, because in 2018 I was going to school and I threw out my back actually, and I was in the hospital doing PT for probably about 8-10 weeks. And at the time there was this lady there, and she was the assistant program director for a radio station in my neighborhood or in my city. And she thought I was funny, and she offered me a job at the hospital basically, and said come broadcast. And then from there, I started doing just general music stuff. And then I got my own sports show. And then from there, that's when I kind of linked up with Zach. Me and Zach met. I went to his house for the 2018 Michigan State, Ohio State game. And at that point, I had an Ohio State podcast for a little bit. And that was the blackout. It was 2019. That was the Justin Fields team. So we were watching Justin. It was me and Zach and this dude, Kyle Lamb, who now works for the governor of Florida.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you guys know about the Unscripted Ohio podcast with Johnny Bullitt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we all used to podcast all together. And so that's how I got linked up with Zach. And then about a year ago, Zach hit me up. He was like, hey, man, I'm looking to kind of take Menace to the next level. What would you do? How would you do it? And I was like, daily show. We could run a daily show. And he was like, you want to be the co-host? We could do it. And so kind of just went from there. And I'm pretty tapped in on the Ohio State side. So it was pretty easy just to go from talking about it on the radio and then talking about it with Zach. And obviously I grew up a big Ohio State fan. So it was kind of trippy, man, like meeting Zach after kind of being a fan for so long and then kind of now being coworkers. So that's how I got involved with the Menace side of things. I love all things college football, though, not just Ohio State, but obviously being from Ohio, it's the easiest school to follow for sure.
Right. No doubt. And in Ohio, that's, if you don't love Ohio State, then you probably hate Ohio State because you're
right. Facts.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy because, honestly, I'm an Ohio State fan because of how bad the Browns are. So I'm from Northeast Ohio, and early on. So my mom went to Michigan, but we moved to Ohio when I was real little. We moved from Atlanta, and my uncle was always talking about you could be a Browns fan, but you gotta understand they're not going to be any good anytime soon. If you're an Ohio State fan, we're going to win 10 games every year. Right. And so from then on, it started off. I went to the Akron versus Ohio State game in 2007, and that was crazy for me, kind of seeing them win 20-2. And then from then on, I just became obsessed with Ohio State football and kind of soaking up as much info as possible, and then kind of learning about other conferences and other teams and other schools as well, and tracking coaches is how I really got into it. Coaches from coaching trees is kind of what I'm a little bit obsessed with. The Nick Saban coaching tree versus the Urban coaching tree, and where all these guys go. So then I ended up rooting for colleges and paying attention to colleges based on this crazy web of schools and data collection. So that's how I got involved with Menace, and that's why Zach keeps me around because I kind of have a different perspective on that world. But it's awesome, man. College football is the most unique sport in the world, and I'm 100% here for it.
No doubt. Yeah, but I love all the chaos every week. Saturdays, you just tune in and you're just rooting for Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Georgia to lose every single week. And it's just so much fun because even you got your game of Ohio State, obviously really excited to watch the Buckeyes play. But you also got a lot of teams that you can just have just as much fun watching lose.
No, man, when Giants fall, there's no better feeling. Like I still get chills, like thinking about some of the big time upsets throughout the years, even the near upsets, like the what was it, 2019 North Carolina versus Clemson when Clemson won by 1 point.
Man.
That one had me tripping the entire game. I mean, what was it, 2018 South Carolina versus Georgia?
Oh yeah.
I'd argue that game kind of changed the course of Ohio State football because I firmly believe if Georgia does the right thing and they pull Jake Fromm in that game and put Justin Fields in, then we never get Justin Fields in Columbus, and then we're rolling with Tate Martell or Matthew Baldwin, and obviously those two guys kind of with their own career path, but just every week there's a chance for a Titan to go down, and that's why I love college football, because it's every week like underdogs coming through is bigger to me, because the NFL set up for everyone to go 8-8, and that's cool and all, but it just means upsets mean a lot less in college football, because every game is a playoff game. I just am obsessed over like how, when these Titans fall, how they fall, what goes on behind the scenes with the kids. So yeah, that South Carolina Georgia game is one that I always look back. Three of you guys go back and watch it, because it was absurd, man. Like there was maybe 3 first downs the entire second half. No one could do a thing, and they just refused to pull Jake Fromm. They refused to pull him.
I don't get that, man. Like, you have the clear better player on any single level, because obviously you can say experience, but Justin Fields proved his first year as a starter that he's very capable of running an offense and making good decisions, because he threw 1 interception in the regular season. So I'm guessing, like he literally destroyed Jake Fromm, and they both were starters in the same year. Heisman finalist. It was clear. It was clear that he was the better quarterback. And
it was clear. And in that game in particular, so the South Carolina Georgia game, that game in particular, Jake Fromm should have gotten pulled. First of all, the offense was doing nothing, and South Carolina's not that good on defense. Secondly, South Carolina started quarterback broke his leg in the first half.
They
were out there with the Joyner kid who couldn't throw the ball, so you had possessions you could afford to throw away. Just get Justin Fields out there. So I mean, I love it, obviously, because if Justin Fields goes out there, they win the game. He's a starting quarterback. We never get him, but it's insane to look back on, because even at the time before I figured Justin would be in Columbus, it was like Jake Fromm is really bad at football, really bad at quarterback at the SC level, and they're gonna let that kid go to waste. But enough about Georgia. Give me some questions, man.
Man, all right, bet I'll pass it right down to Matt. Man, he's got Ohio State questions. Man, here we go.
What are your initial thoughts on Ohio State this season compared to the rest of college football, in terms of what level, who's on their level? Because we know they have so many good players coming back. We're really hyped. From what I've heard from a lot of the media guys, is there's 2 teams above everybody else. So basically, talk about where you think they rank and who can be comparable with them this year.
Last year's Ohio State team was the youngest they'd fielded in 20 years. On both sides of the ball. That's unbelievable. They were incredibly young, but very, very talented. If you look at kind of the blue chip radar, they have the highest amount of talent coming back, that's sophomores and beyond. So that's what I first look at. I think the only team on our level is Alabama.
Right.
I think everybody else is a pretty clear tier below. But also with Bama, they have 2 generational pass rushers on the same team. Now, I know Will Anderson gets a lot of the love, but Turner is a freak, and I haven't seen anybody be able to stop him one-on-one on the edge either. So really, it's us and Bama, and I feel like every time Ohio State is a very, very dominant team, a very, very good team on the cusp, there's always that one generational team on the other end. So last time I believe we had a top-tier dominant team was in 2019, right? And obviously we didn't get to see them. But that year, the generational team was LSU, who had the quarterback with the greatest,
that team was amazing.
Yeah, the greatest individual season ever from any quarterback. And then if you look at the year we made the title game, 2020, I'd argue that Alabama offense was generational. Now this next year, the Alabama offense won't be generational. They don't have the star power on the outside. They do have a top 6 back in NCAA football, but the offensive line is not going to be as good as everyone thinks it is. They're going to, honestly, there's a lot of holes in it. And B, it's going to be the defense giving them more possessions. So in terms of on our level offensively, nobody. There's not even close. I think this team could rival the 2019 LSU team in terms of offensive output. But on defense, the generational defense is the Alabama defense. They have 2 or 3 first round DBs, and then they have those 2 guys on the edge that are monsters. So it's us and Bama, and now the issue is going to be like, can you get there without stumbling? Because I know that from people I've talked to, this is more than just about winning the national title.
Yeah,
this is about this team being one of the all-time great college football teams. And how do you do that?
Right.
Like, to even enter the conversation, you have to go undefeated.
right.
Then you have to put guys on defense in the first round. Then you got to put guys on offense in the first round. You got to win a Heisman,
Right.
and you got to have a first-round quarterback.
Mm.
So for that to happen, I mean, it's going to be a collision course with Bryce Young and Alabama. And if you look back to their even recruiting days, like this Bryce Young and CJ Stroud rivalry is going to be bigger than people realize, and it's going to get a lot of pub as the season goes on. Because I don't know if you guys know, do you guys follow the Elite 11 stuff at all?
I follow it.
He follows it a ton. Yep.
So I love the Elite 11. Yep.
So do you remember Bryce Young's year in the Elite 11?
Yeah, CJ Stroud destroyed him. He destroyed everybody at that whole entire.
Correct.
Yeah.
So CJ Stroud actually didn't qualify initially for the Elite 11. I'm sure you knew that.
Yeah.
DJ Uiagalelei was the invite. He canceled because he wanted to be with his team to win a state title. So that's fine.
Right.
So they called, quarterback number 12 or whatever. I don't know what it was, 16 quarterbacks. They called CJ Stroud, who was at the time his biggest offer was Wichita State. Went to the Elite 11. They do the draft. They draft all the quarterbacks. So on CJ's team was Jack Miller.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was both of those. But Jack Miller hurt his back, and then they had the players vote on who the better quarterback was for the Elite 11. Now at the time, Bryce Young was the number 2 player in the country behind DJ, and obviously the number 2 quarterback. And so it was a big deal. In fact, Trent Dilfer made them re-vote because the first vote Bryce Young was the quarterback, and then he said, "Stop playing a political game. Re-vote. Who's the best thrower out here?" And so to me, that's when the rivalry was born. Like for me, they'll always be tied forever. The same way that I tied Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. They'll always be tied because of that.
Right.
And they voted for CJ Stroud. So CJ Stroud was a starter during the Elite 11, and then obviously set the record at the Pro Day Challenge earlier in the week, and then ended up winning the Elite 11 while Bryce Young was on the bench.
Right.
Both of those guys remember that. I know that for a fact. I know they both brought it up numerous times. Yeah. So collision course wise, it's going to be hopefully like if the stars all align and if, as long as nobody stumbles, it's going to be those two faced up against each other for the first time.
And they might play to be the number 1 pick. Like that game might decide, because a lot of these I feel like a lot of these NFL GMs and all that are very they want to know what happened in their last game. Like Justin Fields after that Clemson game had set himself up to be the number 2 pick, no doubt, at least. Like obviously outplayed Trevor that game, but everyone was going to pick Trevor number 1. It's like, okay, if they love Trevor, that's going to happen. But it's like, okay, Justin Fields is going number 2. He threw for 385 and 6 touchdowns against statistically one of the best defenses in the nation. Go against Alabama, and we lose by 28. And not that was Justin Fields at all, but like they have that taste in their mouth, and they start making up lies, and that Zach Wilson and Trey Lance. Like might need
the Trey Lance stuff is crazy to me, man. I almost agree with you, but I found that whenever I stick around for that, playing for the number 1 overall pick, I'm always wrong. Like I remember Sam Darnold and Josh Rosen, they had a game against each other at USC UCLA. It's like, oh, they're playing for the number 1 overall pick, and then Josh Rosen obviously outperformed Sam Darnold, and then was never ever mentioned to be the number 1 overall pick.
No,
I think NFL teams always try to be the smartest in the room, and so it kind of they take themselves away from how things are. I do that game could have some impact, but I'm fully expecting CJ to be the number 1 overall pick based on like quarterback metrics and what NFL teams value. But I've been wrong before.
Yeah. I personally think he's better. Like I
agree. No, he is.
Yeah,
I won't even have the debate with people anymore, man. Bama fans hate me, but I won't have the debate.
No,
CJ Stroud's
I get
quarterback than Bryce Young.
Yep. If I do want to give a
Bryce Young won the Heisman. Go ahead.
I do want to give a little follow up. My fault, Brady. I do want to give you a little follow up. But so we talk about Ohio State, Alabama. All right, they're the 2 clear cut teams that are up top. Like, could you give a couple of teams that are just right below them that I'm not going to say that they're going to like ruin our season, but like they have the best chance of like
getting in the way.
Giving in the way, giving us a good fight, something like that.
Dynamic quarterback play is the ultimate equalizer. In 2019, LSU had a very, very good offense, but they had a subpar defense in terms of championship standard. They gave up over 30 points a game defensively. They had the 31st ranked rush defense, but they were able to beat the Bamas of the world and the Georgias of the world because they had a dynamic quarterback play. There's no Joe Burrow in this year's college football, but dynamic quarterback play is the ultimate equalizer. And when you look out west, you see Caleb Williams and you see Lincoln Riley, you see the transfers, you see Jordan Addison, you see that the scheme should be fixed. They're going to put up a lot of points in bunches. They're going to have a really dynamic offense. And so dynamic offenses and dynamic quarterbacks change games. So I would go out west to them. Additionally, I don't think we'll see Georgia. But if we do see Georgia, that would be bad because, what's our weakest position? Tight end. Linebacker, excuse me. And Brock Bowers is the very best tight end. He's the best tight end prospect we've seen since Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson. So that could be a team as well. If you're looking in the Midwest, the only teams that could cause a stumble for us is Notre Dame, but it's week 2. They have a new quarterback, new coach. So we'll see how that goes. They're kind of 2 steps below. LSU I have in that C class. I don't think they're going to be good any good this year. Texas with Sark, I think could be talented.
Yeah.
But again, how good is Quinn Ewers? If Quinn Ewers is truly dynamic, then you trust it, you roll with it. But in terms of like teams that could cause us to stumble, you look at USC, that'd be the first round of the playoffs. Michigan State, we played them in a weird spot this year that could sneak up on us. Outside of that, I would say nobody. I would say maybe Miami, but I think they're about 1 or 2 years away with Mario Cristobal.
Right.
So there you have it. It's USC as I have is that third cut team because I believe the dynamic offenses, dynamic quarterbacks, the ultimate equalizer, and they have one. So
I actually have them in my playoff this year. Like a lot of people, like only because I think their toughest game is Notre Dame, and I think they have a great shot because it's at USC.
Mm-hmm.
I think that ultimately that comes down to potential quarterback play because USC has the better weapons, Notre Dame has the better defense. Who's got the better quarterback? Obviously, USC in that category. I just think that people are underestimating the amount of transfers that USC actually got this year. Like, they're not the same team they've been in the past. And do I necessarily think they're going to be the third best team for sure? No, but in terms of challenging the top 2, they have the most potential.
I think they're the most dangerous team.
Right.
I think like tandem takeovers is what I believe, and I think Jordan Addison and Caleb Williams could be that 1-2 punch, and they're gonna look and feel like 2014 Oregon.
Right. Yeah. Out west team that has dynamic quarterback and playmakers, speed on the edge for sure.
Exactly, and a fun offense. So I'm looking at them. I'm also looking at Tennessee a little bit. I like Hendon Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the trenches for them are going to look like. So that's what I have for the cut below. I mean, it's crazy because usually I would have more teams in there, but I just think Ohio State's so incredibly talented and like 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of everybody else. That's with the exception of Nick Saban in Alabama.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yep. And this, we'll go to the next question here. Talk about flip side of the ball. Go over to the defense. But I'll send over to Brady here.
All right. So, do you think the defense will be fixed? And who do you think, if so, who will be the breakout players that spark the change? And why do you think it'll be fixed? Also, if you think it is
fixed, as in, I think we're going to have a top 25 defense.
Right. Yep.
We're going to be really stable. I have a starting lineup. What they're going into camp starting with, if you guys want it.
Sounds good.
For sure.
But I did make some adjustments to the D-line just based on what I know is going to happen later on in the year. Jack Sawyer. So they're going to rotate edges. So I started the defensive line. It's going to be Jack Sawyer, Hall, Tyleek Williams, JTT. And obviously those edges are going to flip with JP and Harrison at some point because they're going to keep guys fresh.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see Teron Benton as well, rotated as a third.
Right.
The linebacker spot, you're going to see Tommy Eichenberg at the mic and then Steele at the will. The wild card in there is how Cody Simon takes to the coaching. If Cody Simon does well enough, he could be at that mic. But I really like Tommy right now. Cornerback wise, I know they're going to have Denzel Burke. He's going to take another step, and then healthy Cam Brown will be good outside. If not Cam Brown, you'll see Jordan Hancock there. The safeties, I mean, that's kind of Jim Knowles' pride and joy, the safety position. You're going to have Josh Proctor back, which is going to be big. Ronnie Hickman is going to be the second safety, and they play with 3 safeties. So that third one's going to be Tanner McAllister.
Right.
So Tanner McAllister's from Oklahoma State. He is going to be playing in that kind of – you guys remember he ran the 3 safety look? Jeff. The cover
Oh,
three.
yeah.
So that third guy that did a lot of damage was Sean Wade. That's going to be the role that Tanner plays, like in the slot, up close to the line of scrimmage, flying around out there. I think if it's not him, I think you could see Cam Martinez, but they brought him from Oklahoma State to kind of quarterback that.
Right.
So that's what I have as my starting lineup wise. And I think the guy that's going to be a breakout player is definitely going to be Tanner McAllister. Just because I think, Tanner being up near the line of scrimmage and kind of playing in that slot role, proximity to the football matters so much. And then I know Jack Sawyer's getting a lot of love, but JT is going to be the one that has impact in more of the run game and the pass game. That's going to be it's going to be really important. So I'm interested to see the linebackers though, because like Jim Knowles took the Paul Rodriguez kid, man. He was a 2-star quarterback. And they turned him into an All-American linebacker. And I can't remember the last time we had an All-American linebacker. So whoever's going to play the will at Ohio State, whoever it is, whether it's whether it's Chip Trainum from out west, whether it's Steel Chambers, whoever that is going to have a huge freaking year. Like they're going to be so huge. And so for me, I think it's going to get fixed. Mainly because last year's defense was so bad. They didn't personnel match. They didn't trigger. It was a joke how bad they were. It was so bad that the D-line was limited. And this year it's going to be about playing offense on defense. Just the philosophy change. Jim Knowles is okay with giving up big plays.
Right.
What we're not going to do, though, is allow teams to go on, 10, 11, 12 play drives, ripping off 6 yards a run to score on it. That's what's not going to happen. Because the goal for Ryan Day in the Woody is to get our offense 2 or 3 more possessions a game, because there isn't anybody that can stop us.
Right. Not a single team in the nation. Not even that. Against Bama, we'll have a plan. Like, we're going to have a very complex plan with their edge rushers. Like, if we play them, assuming that we play them. I have a feeling that, especially with Justin Fry, I think he's definitely much more equipped. Yeah, exactly. To make a game plan for Bama. I think that we'll definitely have Cage Stover in there a lot, trying to help with Will Anderson. And then I'm guessing we'll probably keep a running back in protection on the other side. Pretty much, there'll be a lot of 3-man routes, but good thing our three men are the best three men.
Yeah, an electric 3, and then that's part of the thing. It's like if you gas edge rushers out, you gas them out. But in terms of our defense, it's just about getting a couple more stops. So that's where I'm at with that. I'm really excited to see the linebackers though, guys, because they've been so bad for so long, man. Like, I can't remember the last time we had an All-American linebacker. Like, Pete Warner's been the best linebacker the last 5 or 6 years, and I love Pete, but it's time for us to get some dudes back.
I agree, no doubt, and I think that we have a lot of linebackers for sure. We just need to find guys that will play at that level, all Big Ten at least. All
Big Ten linebacker for sure.
Right. For sure. Just following up on that, is that your start of fall camp defensive projection, or do you think those guys will all start against Notre Dame week 1?
That's who I expect to start against Notre Dame.
Against Notre Dame, okay, I got you.
Yeah, the fall camp projections you're going to have. At fall camp you're going to have Harrison starting outside. So in place of JTT or Jack Sawyer, it's going to be one of those guys. And then also, they're going to name co-starters on the defensive line like Tyler Friday and then JB.
Yeah.
So, that's how that's going to go. It's the same with Teron Vincent inside. But honestly, like, Morris are going to be our 4 best defensive linemen.
Right.
Super soft, no matter how you slice it. Everything I've heard about Mike Hall this offseason has been ridiculous. Like, that he's an absolute monster.
Oh, yeah. He's a freak. He looks like a freak.
Yeah, like Adolphus Washington type. So,
right.
That's where I'm at with those guys. And I'm excited. I'm just excited, man. Like, really excited about the defensive line.
Because I'm sorry, but like if we keep playing Jerron Cage and Teron Vincent, like, we're just not going to have the production we need from there or the disruption. Because no offense to those guys, and I love Jerron Cage 70 yards against Penn State last year, but he is so unathletic. Like, I was up by Ohio State like last year, probably in the winter. They have that little field outside of the stadium that everyone can just go on, the turf field. And Jerron Cage and Tommy Togiai and Tyler Friday were just like working out there while I was like throwing routes. And Jerron Cage was running and he just fell. like it was so unathletic looking, and he was just laying on the ground, and I'm just like, ooh.
Definitely doesn't have the same upside as like Mike Hall have. So no, I definitely would second that. I mean, it's time. It's time to unleash those Super Four. I mean, you recruit so well. Let them play together.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, let them keep them in there. Like that was our best D-line class we've had maybe ever. Like because of the fact that we landed arguably the two best DNs in the nation. I know there was that Corey Foreman from USC as well. But
Jack
I don't
Sawyer's
think
better than Corey Foreman. All right.
Oh, Jack Sawyer is way better than Corey Foreman. No question.
I
always thought that. A lot of other fans from other teams seem to think that Jack Sawyer was like overrated just because he doesn't go to camp.
He doesn't go to camps, which whatever. He need to go to camps. He's a freaking terror on the edge.
Yeah, he plays D end. Like, what's the point of not playing without pads as a D end? So are we moving on, Chase? Would you like?
Yes, yeah, you got it. You got it.
We'll move on, but so we have a new look on the offensive side of the ball with the O line. What do you expect from this O line under Justin Fry? What do you think is going to change?
When Justin Fry and Ryan Day worked together last, it was at Boston College.
Yeah.
And they ran more of a power running scheme. Andre Williams was a running back. He ran for over 2,000 yards. That was the last time that I mean, when Justin Fry is out there, the guards pull. It's a lot more hit you in the face, and it's a lot less stretch zone stuff. So I expect more downhill action. And I know how much that'll help our play action passing game. I expect them to be a lot better. I mean, like there was like a lack of toughness in that Michigan game, and guys were getting blown off the ball. That won't happen under Justin Fry. Justin Fry's too good of a coach, too mean of a dude. It takes everything personally. And on this staff, he's going to be the next one to get a head coaching job. So this is very personal for him. To be working with Ryan Day. So he kind of went away for a while and groomed and learned under Chip Kelly, and now he's back. And it's going to be a lot of power running. I mean, the Zach Charbonnet kid from UCLA, I mean, it's a power run scheme on Hill. And that was so new for a Chip Kelly offense. When we went and got our run fits to play against Clemson, that's who Ryan Day called. He called Fry and Chip Kelly and said, how do we get this going? So you're just going to see more downhill running. More in between the tackle, more power stuff, because we haven't really had a power run game in about 2 years.
Right, no doubt. Like, I'm pretty sure Andre Williams' season would have broken the Ohio State single season rushing record, wouldn't it? Because I think J.K. Dobbins has that record with 2,003 yards.
Yeah, I think it would have broke the regular. Yeah, it would have broke the regular season record for sure. I mean, Andre Williams is going crazy, man. I mean, from freaking Boston College, and he was a Heisman finalist. Like, it's ridiculous what he's able to do at Boston College.
What do you think about Paris Johnson playing left tackle this year? How do you think that transition is going to work? And what do you think about Donovan Jackson as well? He's really hyped up coming in and being that the fifth guy on the offensive line. What do you think about those two guys this year?
Man, I think he's a monster, and honestly, I don't care. Last year, I would have found a way to start him at tackle.
Yeah,
last year, I wouldn't have worried about
his guard is just not his true position. It's not.
No, he's
some guys just a lot of people just a lot of people just think that they can just move. If you're 6'6", 200 and some pounds, you can play any offensive line position. You just can't. Like, some guys are just tackles, some guys are just guards, and some guys are centers. Like, he's just a tackle. So I'm really excited about it. But go ahead, continue.
I mean, he's 6'6", 6'7". He is mean out in space. He's got long arms. The last thing you want is him inside like that.
Right.
Like, without a step to be able to get some power going. I'm so excited for him to be outside. He should have been outside, man. Like, I know we had dudes, and that's I hate saying it, but I was kind of frustrated when the tackles came back, and it's like, oh damn, like how we don't get PJ out.
No,
PJ's a dog. PJ's hyper intelligent. Like, PJ should have been outside the entire time. Entire time. And like now, Donovan Jackson, on the other hand, he can play inside and outside. He's a little shorter, but he's always been worked out as a guard. So PJ went from really kind of being the backup tackle to then getting plugged in a guard and then just saying, let's just roll with it. And he's just a little bit too tall for it. And you want to get that step or two to get there. That's why guards are little, man. Little.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
100%. Yeah.
I'm really excited for PJ, man. He's going to fill in naturally. I mean, I expect him to be an All-American. And hell, man, we need him to be an All-American.
We definitely.
There's a collision course with some dudes at Bama that are all Americans. So I have high hopes for PJ. I mean, he's the highest rated recruit Ohio State's ever gotten on the O-line. He needs to prove it this year, straight up.
Absolutely.
Sure. He needs like that's part of our national championship team. If we want to get that natty, we need an All-American left tackle.
Correct.
Especially when we play in a team like Bama, whose best quality is their edge rushers.
Mm-hmm. And you want CJ to feel good all year. Like you don't want CJ to have to worry about that backside. You know, I know that he hasn't shown the mental toughness you would want, but I mean, in the Michigan game, after those first 2 or 3 hits, man, you could tell everything was rushed, everything was high. It was like, oh, okay, like I don't trust the tackle. So you need that for the mental state of CJ Stroud, him to be a very good tackle. That's just simply how it is. And I expect it. Like I know he's doing well. He's doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Oh man, I do gotta say this though. So I know we're talking about offense. We're still gonna keep the topic of offense. I think you kind of alluded to it earlier about this year's offense. It's unmatched to anybody in the country. Mm-hmm. The question was this: which offense would you rather have last year or this year? But I'm assuming you would probably lean toward this upcoming season of anticipation. Is that correct?
I'll take this year because of Justin Fry. No other reason.
Okay.
Garrett Wilson is, to me, the best Ohio State receiver to ever put on a jersey.
No question.
G-Dub's incredible. But
not even close.
Our run game was so frustrating last year because we ran so much stretch. And we ran so much stretch because our defense couldn't stop stretch in practice. So we thought other teams couldn't stop it as well, but it turns out we just couldn't stop stretch. I think a power running game, and I think year 2 of TreVeyon Henderson is kind of the equalizer there. So year 2 of TreVeyon is going to be better than year 1, obviously. And I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to take enough of a leap to kind of eliminate that gap between 1 and 2 in terms of Garrett Wilson and them. So that's where I'm at. Like alleviating gap and having the run game get better is the reason why I would take this year's offense over last year's offense, if that makes sense.
Right. It's got I think the biggest, obviously the biggest change is Justin Fry. But another thing is Marvin Harrison Jr. is a natural red zone threat. So I think he's different than some of those other guys. Like Olave and Wilson were unbelievable players. Unbelievable. And they were great in the red zone, but we didn't have a big body, just 6'3", long arms, just huge red zone threat. And then you see against Utah, we're down in the red zone. Not that we ever struggled passing the ball in the red zone, but it's always harder to pass the ball in the red zone. He made it second nature. He's even better maybe in the red zone, getting to an open spot of the end zone and just going up and getting it. But I have a feeling that these receivers are going to gel really well together this year. And so did last year's. But I just have a feeling this is a really nice trio. Assuming Emeka Egbuka is the third guy come crunch time, I think you've got your speedster, not saying he's blazing fast, but Emeka, he can do a little bit of it all. You've got Jackson, who's just going to catch the ball 10 plus times a game, a ridiculous amount of catches and yards this year. And then you've got Marvin, big body, big plays, route red zone, just big red zone threat. I just think it'll gel really well together this year.
Yeah, Marv's the most talented receiver on the roster.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of just physical ability and all that.
No, I'm talking about all of it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Marv's the best receiver on the roster.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. Is that more of a hot take for you or what?
No, that's not from me. That's from people inside the Woody.
I did see that. I did hear about that they said.
Straight up, straight from Corey and them. He's the best. I mean, he might not put up the best numbers this year because proximity to the football. JSN is in the slot, so the slot naturally gets more catches. That's why guys like KJ Hill, had more catches than Terry McLaurin. Right. But obviously, we know who the better receiver of those two were.
For sure, yeah.
Marv's the best. I mean, Marv has the most polished route tree probably. He's got the longest arms. He's the twitchiest. He's faster than JSN. He can catch. He's got ridiculous hands as well. Marv's the guy. So I know that that might be a hot take because we just saw JSN just have the most ridiculous game of any receiver anywhere. But in terms of skill set and who's a better receiver, it's to me, at least from what I've heard, it's Marv. I mean, he's twitchier, he's bigger, he runs the same route tree, and he's got the same hands.
Right. Right. Do you think Marv is better than Garrett Wilson? Like, I know obviously last year he was a freshman, Garrett was a junior, but do you think when it's all said and done, he's Garrett Wilson level?
When I start to see Marv be able to do freaky stuff in the air, yeah. But until then, no. I mean, here's a simple fact of it. No matter what, Garrett Wilson was never covered. Garrett Wilson had a 40-inch vertical. He ran to the 4.3s. Every ball was his. He was a true freak of nature because he played so violent for being 5'11" that he gave off the presence of a 6'3", 6'4" receiver.
Yep.
Like when that ball was in the air, guys. I mean, with the Clemson game, when that ball was in the air, like he dunked on an NFL corner, like immediately.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
And his understanding of space and body awareness was unbelievable. Garrett Wilson's a rare case of he's the Odell Beckham Jr. clone, who I'd argue is the most talented receiver in the NFL without any of the headache. So that's what I think Garrett Wilson is. So we'll see from Marv, but I mean he's got the upside. I mean, he's pro pedigree. He's route man Marv. I mean, I saw him dunk a basketball the other day, and his head was at the rim.
Oh, that was insane.
I mean, I saw him put a ball in the machine and shoot it downfield and go catch it like he's twitchy. So we'll see. Once I start seeing him do stuff in the air, like Michael Thomas or like Garrett Wilson, then yes, I will put him. I'll put him in that class of elite.
What does JSN need to do this year to become that best receiver in Ohio State history? Like, what type of numbers would you say?
If he runs faster, if he doesn't get caught from behind all year, we're good.
Okay. So just like
he could put up 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns, and I'll be like, yep, that's the best receiver in Ohio State history, as long as he does not get caught from behind.
Right. Okay, that's fair. That's like because I remember he did against Penn State on that one. He made a great move to get into the open field.
He could have had even more. He could have had one more touchdown in the Rose Bowl, man.
He could have. I know, man. Like,
he had the ball punched out from behind. Yeah, you know, it's funny. I mean, Zach and I said that he was going to run in the 5s and the 4.5s, and his brother DM'd us saying we owe him a public apology once he runs in the 4.3s. I was like, all right. Dude, when I see it. He runs in the 4.3s. Bet it. Pick him number 2 overall.
If he comes out running the 4.3s this year, I might shit myself.
There
ain't no way he's running 4.3s.
That's what I'm saying. There's no way. I mean, what is
There's
he's
no
like?
Way. You can't.
At 6'2", with those ball skills, I mean, he's legitimately Cooper Kupp, man. If he runs in the 4.3s, he's Jesus Christ on a football field. And
I would guarantee you, if he runs the 4.3s, he'll be a top 3 receiver in the NFL year one.
I'm picking it. If he runs a 4.3, I'm picking him first in my fantasy football league, whatever year that is. I don't care. 4.3s are stupid, man. Like Braxton didn't even run a 4.3.
No.
4.3s are stupid. Braxton yelled at me, man. I made fun of him for his 40 time. What was that? Before the Michigan State game, he was cooking me, saying his hamstrings were beat up. So,
what was his 40 time? I can't even remember.
It was in the 4.4, high 4.4s, maybe even 4.5s. So I believe his hamstring was beat up. Let me grab it real quick. Yeah, man, he was killing me.
So I do want to ask while you're looking at that, give us the answer, but
4.47,
4.47, so high 4.4. Okay,
really fast for a QB that can move. They can move side to side like no other. But
exactly, yeah. So I do want to ask this though, like, so what offense could this be compared to? I'm not even talking about Ohio State football. I'm talking about even college football history. Do you have a comparison of what offense, like what levels this offense could get to?
2019 LSU.
Yeah.
Okay.
2019 LSU had Joe Burrow at quarterback. You would hope that CJ can mimic those numbers. They had Clyde Edwards-Helaire at running back. You would hope that Henderson was better than them. And then they had the guys outside, Jamar, and then JJ.
Terrence Marshall too.
Yep, Terrence Marshall, and then at tight end they had Thaddeus Moss.
Yep,
that is the mold. That is it.
Right.
You think that route man Marv can be as good as one of those guys. You know that JSN can be as good as one of those guys. And then can Emeka be Terrence Marshall, or can Julian Fleming be Terrence Marshall? We don't throw to tight ends, but we don't throw to tight ends, so we won't have that Thaddeus Moss thing. But I think Trevin Henderson could be better than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So that's where I'm at. 2019 LSU offense. There's a lot of deep crossers, a lot of deep shots, And Joe displayed some elite gun barrel toughness to get the ball down there to those guys. And those guys, had so much make you miss and so much after, the catch. So, 2019 LSU, that's the gold standard. That's the only offense that this team is chasing.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Especially CJ Stroud reminds me of Joe Burrow play style wise.
Mm-hmm.
Like pocket passing, we'll throw the ball with touch if he needs to. We'll get it in a tight window if he needs to.
I think he throws a prettier ball, but he doesn't have the competitive instincts that Joe Burrow has.
That dude oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan, but that's continue.
Wait, am I right or wrong? I'm giving your
boy
Joe credit.
Nah, you good. Yo, you good. You good. Nah, not at all. I'm not taking that the wrong way at all. No.
Gotcha. So Joe Burrow has competitive instincts like no one I've ever seen. I don't think CJ Stroud has that. To me, CJ Stroud reminds me a lot of I'm gonna hold that thought actually.
Because that's tough.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold that thought.
Maybe a little Dwayne. A little bit Dwayne.
He's got some Dwayne. I just think. I mean, honestly, he reminds me a lot of those guys out west. Man, he reminds me a lot of Jared Goff when I watch him throw the football. Like Jared Goff was so good in college. Obviously, like he was a gamer. He was a player.
Yeah,
Matt Ryan. That's a good one too.
I like Matt Ryan. I think he reminds me of Matt Ryan a lot. He's a little bit more athletic than Matt Ryan in terms of being able to get out of the pocket a little bit.
Yeah.
But they both want to stay in the pocket. They're both very calm, just steady guys that just are just a steady
CJ,
hand.
Man, he is smooth though. CJ's
very
really
smooth, very calm. I like Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan's a really good comparison.
No, that's a perfect comparison. Same kind of lengthy arms too, long striders. It's a great comparison for sure. So
I remember when we first started recruiting CJ, and he was a 3-star when we first gave him that offer because they hadn't bumped the rankings yet. Because obviously after he won that Elite 11, he was rising, and then he had that huge senior season compared to his junior season. He was only a 2-year starter, I think, in high school, which is the funny thing. He started in college at Ohio State before earlier than he started in high school.
Yeah, he's junior senior year because he liked basketball too much, man. He didn't want to give football the full time.
Yeah, like DeWand, kind of.
Yeah, facts. DeWand also a low 3-star guy. I think 1,038 ranked prospect in the country.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal. That boy was a monster.
Literally.
Yes,
All right, so I'm going to transition to the next question here. The game 2022. Revenge edition, right? We got to get it. What are your early thoughts in terms of both teams? What type of season? I mean, we've been talking about Ohio State, but what type of season do you see that team up north having? And then what just early preview of this game? What exactly, who do you give the edge to? Why, this, that, or the other?
Michigan's going to have a good team. A good schedule, at least. Their schedule sets up pretty nicely, to be honest, for that game. What do they have? They have Colorado State, Hawaii, UConn, Temple, Iowa, right? So things look pretty good. Their schedule sets up for them to enter that game with maybe a loss, maybe not. I mean, Penn State and Michigan State back-to-back weeks are the only games they could lose, and then Maryland as well. But they're going to win 2 out of those 3, so they can go into that game with 1 loss like last year. And then they're going to get absolutely bludgeoned. There's not a chance anything goes right.
Not one bit.
Not a bit.
I hope Michigan State too. That'd be hilarious if Michigan State.
No, we wanted to win every game. I mean, they ducked us in 2020.
Yeah.
Like Jim Harbaugh's running his mouth. And I know for a fact that Ryan Day just hates that man's soul. So I wouldn't be surprised if there was some shenanigans, step 1 going for 2 early on in the game, but that's going to be an absolute bludgeoning there's going to be a fight. But we're going to beat them real bad. I think Michigan's going to have a good team. They're going to be like last year's Michigan State team where it's kind of like a lot of fluff wins and a lot of like fool's gold. And then we run into a real passing attack. It's going to be bad. So their only hope is if they bench McNamara at some point throughout the season, roll with JJ, and try to have this thing going with Ronnie Bell, Donovan Edwards, and JJ. But they don't have the depth on the defensive line to do what they did last year. They don't have the depth on the offensive line to deal with, Ohio State rotating 7 guys up front and throwing their weight around. And like Ohio State's toughness was challenged last year by that team.
Yep, it was.
And toughness is something that is addressed in the offseason, and it has been addressed in full. And And it's funny because I don't know why Michigan felt the need to run their mouth again, because it's like, just go do it again. Like, you go do it one more time, you change everything.
Yeah.
But it's going to get bad, and I expect Ohio State to win by 4 or 5 touchdowns. Someone would ask me today. And no matter what the spread is, I would take Ohio State covering. Like, no matter what it is, it could be 40 points. I would take them covering, because I think it's going to be that type of win over Michigan this year.
For sure.
Especially Michigan acts like that win changed their whole program, but Purdue beat us once. Iowa beat us once. Penn State beat us. And what's happened to all those teams since they beat us? Nothing. They've been the same team or worse.
Spin the block twice like there's nowhere to park.
Right.
Yep. Man, and think about this, though. This is the first time we played Michigan at home since 2018. I mean, the shoe's going to – the shoe's going to be jumping. And we put up 62 points that game. Is that right?
60. We could have put up more, probably, because we took the gas pedal off that last drive, right? We had a lineman break their leg because we were being. Oh, it was me too.
We had a lineman break their leg.
Yeah. Man, cannot wait for that game and all that. And I think this is the amount of time we got today, man. But Kris, man, this was good discussions. We appreciate you coming on the show, man. I mean, this is good talking Ohio State football, college football in general. But man, anybody else any final thoughts before we pop off this thing?
I'm good, man. Thanks for coming on, Kris. We enjoyed having you, and it was great to talk Ohio State football.
Yeah, this is super dope, boys.
Yeah, it was great to meet you, man. I'm excited for the football season. It was awesome talking to you.
Yeah,
thanks for coming
appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Man. It'd be great to have you on again sometime in the future, for sure.
Yeah, just let me know, man. I'm always around. I'm always in studio.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Go check out Menace Sports. They're live every day. Was it 12:30? Right, 12:30.
We moved up to 12 because we're doing hour-long episodes now.
There you go.
So,
there you go. Yeah. Tune into it, man.
All questions, and we get into a whole bunch of shenanigans as well. We're gonna start our season previews next week, so we're really excited about that. But thanks, boys.
Same here. Yep. Appreciate it, everybody. Yep. And we will see you guys soon.